and welcome to everybody on Cloud Fitness. So in today's video of Python series, we are going to talk about what exactly are variables in Python, what are data types in Python, what is called typecasting in Python. So these are very basic as well as important concepts which will eventually help us, to increase our complexity in these videos of Python that I would be creating. So slowly and steadily, I would be increasing the complexity of the video as well. And in between, we are also going to solve few Python questions. So let's move on and open the PyCharm. Right, so in case you have watched my previous video, so you already know this IDE and you already have this Python project, and I believe that you are practicing it with me. You should have all these files handy with you in your systems, and you should write the code along with me over here. So let's click on new and create a new Python file. So now today we are talking about variables and then the data types and the typecasting, right? So I just name my file with the same name, right? And now you can see that I am inside my new file that I have variables, data type and typecasting. So let's start with the variable. What exactly is a variable? So if I say variable is nothing but it is a container, right, that holds a value. Right, so we have learned about comment, so I am just going to comment this particular line. Variable is nothing but it is a container that holds a value. So for example, right, you have a basket, right? So in a basket, if you store tomatoes, that basket is called a variable, and tomatoes is nothing but it is a value, right? So let's say I write a variable, let's say variable underscore 001, let's say 011 is equal to, let's say, tomatoes, right? So this is nothing but this is how you declare a variable in Python. So when I say declare a variable, this is how you say that tomato is nothing but it is a value. Tomatoes is nothing but it is a value, and this value I am assigning it to a variable, right, which is variable underscore 00011. So this is nothing, this variable underscore 011 is nothing but it is a basket, right, and this tomato is nothing but the value, right? So this is how you actually create a variable. Now this name can be anything, right? I can also write any name. I can also write Bhavna equal to tomatoes. So this Bhavna will become a variable, right? So right now, just to make it look little good, so I'm just simply going to say 011, right? So this is how you create a variable. Now variable you can declare n number of variables in your code, n number of variables. So let's say I write here 022, here let's say I write 033, and instead of tomatoes, let's say 44, let's say here I write 55, and let's say I create one more variable, right? As I told you, you can create n number of variables in your code, right? So let's say I write it as 6.7, right? Now these are all the different variables. So in one basket you can keep tomatoes, in another basket you can keep potatoes, in another basket you can create you can keep let's say apples, in another basket you can let's say keep just any other fruit, right? Let's say guava, right? So there are different things that you can keep inside that basket. So that basket is nothing but it is a variable, and what you put inside it is nothing but a value. Now from this, why do we create a variable? So let's say I have 1,000 line of a code, right? Now in that particular code, let's say I have to use this tomatoes word n number of times. Let's say I have to use this tomatoes word 1,000 times. Now what will happen? I have to go ahead and write tomatoes 1,000 number of times, right? So instead of that, what I can do, I can create a variable like this, variable underscore 011 or any name you can give, right, equal to tomatoes, and then wherever, right, I will use this variable underscore 011 in my code, automatically tomatoes will be called. So what is the benefit? So in this case, let's say after let's say I want to change my code, instead of tomatoes I want to make it, let's say, guava, right? What will happen? Instead of changing guava manually at 1,000 places, I can simply change guava at one place where variable is equal to tomatoes. At the beginning of the code where I write this particular variable, right? And then I can use this variable 1000 times, right? So I don't need to change tomatoes to guava 1000 times in my code, because I can simply change tomatoes to guava over here itself. So that is why we essentially use variables. Now you can actually print the variables, you can use the variables basically. Now since we have seen how to write print statement, so that's why I'll just show you how to print, right, these variables. So this is print variable 001, 2, 3 and 4. So let me put here 2, 2, let me put here 3, 3, and then let me put here 4, 4. Now if I run this, what will happen? All the values will get printed, right? Tomatoes, and then this 44 is nothing but the second variable, this is the third variable, and this is the fourth variable, right? It is pretty easy. Now I hope you understand what is variables. Now the second thing is the data type that we have to discuss, right? So let me just write data types, right? Now let me just comment it, control and / you are able to comment it. Now as I told you, in a basket, right, you can keep tomatoes. In another basket, you can keep anything else. Let's say you keep chilies, right? So basket is a variable, tomato is a value, and the taste of tomato is nothing but the data type. Now this is just an analogy, right? This is just an example, okay? Variable becomes the basket. What you put inside the basket becomes the value, and how does that particular food item tastes becomes the data type, right? So usually in food items we usually have 3 types of taste, right? We have your sweet, your spicy and sour taste, right? These are the main tastes. Similarly, you have main data types as well, right? You have main data types, which is nothing but these data types define what type of value it is, right? What type of value it is. So for example, if you look at this variable 011, it is inside the quotations, right? And in my previous videos I already told you, anything inside quotation is a textual data, it becomes a string. Anything that you can count and it is not present inside the quotation, that becomes an integer, that becomes a numeric value. Anything that is 6.7 point, right, which is a decimal. So all of us knows what is a decimal, right? So decimal is equivalent to float, right, in Python. So float, string and integer, these are the 3 data types. Do we have more number of data types? Yes, we do have, but these are the main ones and we are going to discuss it. Any other required data types we are going to discuss later, but at least you understood here what is a data type, right? Now how do we see what is the data type? How do we see what is the type of variable, what is the data type of this 44? What is the data type of 55? What is the data type of 6.7? How do we see that? So for that we have a type function, right? So inside this type function you just put in the value. So here I'll put in the variable names, right? Let's say variable 001, and let's say I would say just print me the type of variable 00011, right? Now similarly I will print the type of all the values, right? All the 4 values. So here it goes and becomes 2 2, and here 3 3, and I hope you all are practicing with me as well. And now let me simply run it, right? Now if you look here, what you got, right, in the output console. So class str. str is what? str is nothing but string. Variable 001 was what? Variable 001 was nothing but tomatoes. Tomatoes is inside the quotations, so it becomes a string. Then the second is 022, right? 022 is nothing but 44. It is without quotations. So what does it become? It becomes a value that you can count, numeric. Numeric is nothing but integer. Similar goes with 55, and 6.7 is nothing but the float. So this is how you can define the data types. So I hope this is very clear. And then the third thing that we are going to discuss today is nothing but type casting, right? Let me put it here and just comment it. So this becomes notes for you as well. So see, I don't want to give you some, hard-coded notes like which I have written and you just simply read it. So it's always better, open your PyCharm, do it on your own, right? That is something that you will always learn and remember, right? Rather than copying it or just reading it from someone's notes. Always make your own notes. And always do coding with your own hands. Do not read it. Always do it with your own hands. Okay, anyways, I'll go ahead with the typecasting, the third topic. Right? Now in this typecasting, type you understood, right? Type you understood. What is the taste of tomato? That is nothing but the type of the variable, right? Where now I am saying it again and again so that you remember it. Basket is a variable. You keep tomatoes inside the basket. Basket is a variable. Tomatoes is the value that you want to put. And then the taste of tomatoes is nothing but the type, right? Now, if you look here, I want to tell you one thing. So for example, let's say I say print variable 022, right? Let me just copy this, plus variable 033, right? What is variable 022, right? And 033. So these two are integers, right? Both of us knows. So anything that you can count, you can join it, right? So that's why I have said plus. Just add both of them. So to add two variables, you can of a numeric data type, you can simply do a plus symbol over here and you can simply run it. And now you will see it gives 99, right? So if you go at the top, 55 plus 44, 99, that's correct, right? Now similarly, let me sum these two, float and the numeric data type. Float is 44 and like 044 and the numeric is 033, right? So let me just copy it again. And instead of 022, let me put here 044, right? And let me run it. So can we sum a float and integer? Can you sum a decimal and numeric or integer? Yes, you can do that. And you got the answer also here, 61.7. But now, let me do something. Let me try to try to add 011 and 033. Now what is 011? If you go here, 011 is a string type, it is a textual data, and 033 is nothing but an integer data type. Can I add it? Can you add tomatoes plus 55? Like, can you do it? You cannot. So the moment I'll run it, you will see the error, right? You just scroll here. Now you can see it says type error. Whenever you get this type error in Python, type error is something that you need to check the data types. The data types that we discussed at the top. What does it mean? It is like you can simply apply your common sense over here. You cannot add two things of a different data type. You cannot add a string to an integer, right? Either you need to convert both of them to the string to join it, or you need to convert both of them to the integer, right, to join it. So that conversion is called typecasting. I hope you understood this. That conversion is called typecasting. So for example, if I go at the top, right, 44, can I convert it into a string? Yes, I can convert it into a string, right? How do I do that? I can simply put it in quotations. Right, I can simply put it in quotation, but for now I don't want to put it in quotations. The moment I put it in quotation, I told you anything inside the quotation is a string. It is a textual data. It is considered as a textual data, right? So if you are trying to sum tomatoes and 55, right, either you need to convert tomatoes to an integer or you need to convert 55 to a string. 55 to a string you can convert. Tomatoes to a numeric you cannot convert. Right? You can never convert tomatoes to a string, to an integer, right? So what we will do is we will convert 33 variable underscore 033 to a string. How do we do that? That part is called, that thing itself is called, let me say error over here and let me just comment this, right? So that you have this note handy as well in case you are doing this. Let me simply copy it and create a new line. Now, how do I convert 033 into a string? I can simply say str. So, str is a function which is used to convert a valid data type into a string. So, when I say valid data type, right? Valid data type, the data has to be valid inside it. So, for example, if I try to convert tomatoes into an integer, that is not a valid data type. Right? So let me run it and I'll show it to you and you will understand it. So now if I run it, now you can see it converted tomatoes, it it summed two things. How did it sum? It concatenated two string. Concatenation in SQL is similar to this concatenation, str plus str. So two values, variable 011 which was tomatoes and variable 033 which was numeric, it converted it into string using str. Right? Now, why did I say you cannot convert? Now let me go to the another line over here. Now let me say, if I say variable 011, if I want to convert it into integer, I can convert it. I can simply say int, right? I can simply say int. If you want to convert any value to an integer, you can do that, provided it should be a valid value. Right? So variable 011 is tomatoes. You cannot convert tomatoes to integer. So if I do that, I'll again get an error. So now you can see it gave a value error. Value error, what does it mean? It means the value you provided here is not correct. Right? It says the value you provided here, variable underscore 011, is not correct. The value should be a valid value to convert. Right? You cannot convert tomatoes to an integer. That is why it gave you an error. So that kind of thinking you need to have. You need to understand this. Right? Now, let me say, okay, let me use str and do 033 plus str and let's say variable 022, right? So these two are numeric variables, right? 022 and 033, if you go at the top, the 022 and 033 both are integers. Can I convert it into string? You can convert it into string, and I'm converting it using str, and let me simply run it and let's see how does it work. It added both of them as a string. It concatenated both of them as a string. But now if I remove this str from here, right, now both of them are numerics. Right? Now both are integers. Now if I run it without str, it actually sums these two things as a number, because it is considering it as an integer. If it considered it as a string, it is just going to concatenate it like this, and it is going to give 5544 as an output. So this is what is called typecasting. When you try to change the type of the variable. Right? When you try to change the type of the variable, that is called typecasting. And you might want to do it as well. Right? So I hope you liked this video. You understood what I wanted to explain you, and you can practice it. See, there are a lot of hit and trials. You can, check and see which type can get converted into which type and all. So that part you have to do on your own, so that you remember it, you understand it even thoroughly. Right? So to convert one data type into another data type, that is called typecasting. So how do you do that? You can use this int, right? You can use int, you can use str, right? You can use float, right? So for example, let me give you one more example. Let's say there is a variable, right? Variable 099, right? It is equal to, let's say, 67. Right? Now if I want to convert this variable into float, can I do that? Yes, we can convert it. Float is what? Float is just decimal. Right? So you can simply say print, right, float. Inside float, I'm just going to give this variable name, then convert it into float. That's all. Right? So this is how you actually convert everything from one data type into another data type. Right? This is how you actually do it. Let me just do okay, and now simply let me run it. So the moment I did it, float variable 099, you can actually see that 67.09 came, right? So what happened? I just converted it into float. It was an integer. I converted it into float. Can I convert it into string? Yes, you can convert it into string. Let me say str, right? Let me say str. It got converted into string back again, right? This is how you can actually do it. Now let's say I put it in double quotes over here, right? 67, right? So now from 67, now let me run it here. Right now, if you see, what did I say? It should be a valid data type, right? It should be a valid data type. So 67 is actually a number. If it is present inside quotes, right, it is a string data type. But if I want to convert it into float, we can convert it because it is a number, right? So you can see the 67.0 came here. Similarly, str, this is a number, so already it was an str, right? We can write it here as an integer, right? So it will get converted into integer, right? So that is why you have to make sure that it is a valid data type. Now similarly, let me say if I say str678 for example, so can I convert it into float and integer? No, it will give me an error. How you are going to convert? So it gives me value error. It says could not convert string to float, right? Which is a valid thing. So that kind of thought process you need to have when you are working in Python, or in fact in any programming language. So thank you so much for being till here, and do remember to like, share and subscribe my channel. Thank you so much.